Social care. What's the situation?
Social care crisis gripping the country. System straining at the seams.
We're not dealing with commodity. We're not dealing with a service. We're dealing with life.
There's only so much efficiency that some councils can make, but there are councils now that are spending 80% of their budget on social care. That is unsustainable. You're at a point where things are going to break.
Winchester Hospital has had to declare a critical incident because they're having so many patients turn up that they do not have enough beds anymore. Now we know the reason for this is the lack of social care packages.
We've heard lots of words from the government on social care, but little action, with the increase in social care budget totally eroded by the national insurance contribution rise.
We've got 2 million elderly people and 1.5 million disabled adults living with unmet care needs. 4.7 million unpaid carers in England. And by the end of September, 12,000 people in hospital who are medically fit to leave, but who can't leave, many of whom because they've got social care needs. There is also a cost to doing nothing.
Louise is amongst the tens of thousands of people who rely on social care in their homes, but have seen their support packages face cuts in recent years as cash-strapped councils tighten their belts. Social care providers say the budget has made things worse. Care providers now face a hike in national insurance and an increase in minimum pay.
We believe that social care cannot take the brunt of the gap in public finances. Many organisations will start to struggle in a way that means that they could become insolvent.
They could have to close.
Yes.
No, winter will come every year. It will come next year as well. What are we doing to make sure we don't have a planned crisis in the NHS next winter?
Social care, with a new commission announced on the latter to be led by Louise Casey.
Interim reports will come out from next year. The final report is 2028, 18 years after Sir Andrew was commissioned. There are those who think that no issue demonstrates the inability of the modern British state to fix big problems quite like social care. What does Sir Andrew Dilnot think? Let's find out.
He's great. What I think we don't need is 3 years. The new government, has announced that it wants to think very hard about the NHS. It's proposing to publish a 10-year NHS plan in the spring of this year. If we can work out what to do with the NHS by the spring of this year, how on earth could we need 3 more years?
2028 until we might see any change at all.
Just in time for the next election. Yeah. So that means that no budget will be spent during this Parliament. That will mean that they'll kick the can down the road, and then they'll have it in time for the next manifesto. But look, I've got no doubts that Dame Louise Casey will do a fantastic review. I mean, what she did for the Met was extraordinarily thorough. However, you need social care now.
Yes. It's beyond mildly terrifying. It's absolutely desperate. We're not adequately funding social care at the moment. We have fewer people receiving help than used to be receiving it, even though we've got many, many more people needing it. We've had repeated broken promises. This was promised by a Liberal Democrat and Conservative coalition, then abandoned by a Conservative government in 2015, promised by another Conservative government in 2021, then abandoned by its successor Conservative government, promised by the Labour Party in the election campaign, now abandoned by Labour. So that all of the parties have failed on this. And yes, it's a breach of promise, and it causes untold misery.
Sir Andrew Dilnot, thank you very much indeed.
While ultimately lawyers fought to keep her care in place, the threat of taking good away left her feeling so down she ended up feeling suicidal. It was Louise's dad who had to pick up the pieces.
That's all I want. Louise just can't cope without that sort of funding for when she gets up in the morning, lunchtime and tea and going to bed. She just can't move. She can't get out of the chair. I'm getting on a bit. And what I want to do now is to give her all the extra support to make her life happy whilst I can. That's not unusual, is it?
Do you worry about her?
I used to.
It's so serious that we're really raising the alarm. I think there's a really visceral sense of anxiety and concern, and we think that major intervention is needed between now and April if we're going to prevent a sort of collapse of the social care system.